throw at me in Blender I could learn eventually, you know, like I might not know it instantly when you throw it at me, but I think I'd learn it because my brain is really good at picking up on things. It just doesn't necessarily learn on other people's schedules. So you'll notice also there's probably some glaring gaps in my knowledge too, because so much of this is just from spending time inside of Blender, and there'd be whole subjects of Blender that I'm unfamiliar with, so don't think I'm saying that I'm just an expert in everything Blender. I'm just confident enough in my familiarity with the software and the intuitiveness of the software. So if I'm going to throw out another review here for most affordable and most value for the money that I've invested, which is $0, it's Blender. Oh my goodness, what an amazing open source software that how is this just free, you know? It's so cool, and I hope I guess that's because there's so many other people that have felt like that and are like wanting to share that, and so Blender's a huge inspiration for me starting these sort of projects and stuff and sharing them with you guys, because wow, open source software is cool. It's really fucking cool. So we might as well be, you know, like looking into that and expanding on that. So look, let's bring in Blender so that we can at least get some printing going while we're here. And I'll get my smoker on, and once Blender kicks up, oh, 3 openings of it. Great. This is me getting ahead of myself. Usually most of my computer problems come from just clicking too quickly. I just need to slow myself down every now and then. There we go. So that's a bit more like what I normally want. I've also apologize if you do open any of my files and they're like really got some like messy information in the back, or like some like lots of fake users and things. I apologize. If it's causing you too many problems, then I really suggest that you just grab one of my STL exports, or you just do a select all of deleting, or like, you know, like just clear every single other asset in there and keep whatever you do want. Some of them will be messier than others, you know, some of them I just start from scratch, but a lot of my default, I guess I'll go, might as well just show you my default just to start with. I guess we could print a little test of this guy. There's nothing wrong with that. I've been thinking about printing a camera stand, I guess was what I was talking about, or like something along those lines. But you know what, I think a test of him is going to be good. And so let's start thinking about this one as a whole new project just for the moment, and start thinking about a quick export to test him. So let's call this one Twitch. Yeah, I'm just kind of like, I guess everything's going to be on Twitch these days where it can be. So pansat export test 1.1. Just preparing for a bit more with this, because this guy, you know, he's one of my long-term projects. You can see his legs are really starting to come together nicely there, but I'm just like, before I even go too far into the legs, I want to see how much detail I'm getting, how much detail I'm losing, and roughly how I'm going to print him. And it seems to me like I'm going to have to like chop at least his arms off. And so what I'm thinking is I'm going to maybe, yeah, let's just start with just trying to make this into as few shapes as possible, basically. I can, you know, we could export them all or like join them all in one go, but that's not really gonna help me achieve what I want. And I'm not really gonna get too fussed about exactly what's what with this. You know what? Let's put a fly hat on him as well. Let's do that. And there, at the very least, you guys get to see me model like a model or sculpt a wizard's hat. Because I think most of this model is going to be pretty disappointing for like viewers to see print, because obviously he's not ready yet in that regard. Yeah, and there's some sort of hat there. But let's do a quick hat for him and then go from there. So I guess what's the quickest way to do a hat is probably a cone, but I don't really like cones because you end them in one mesh. So basically anytime instead of using a cone, I'll do a cylinder, and then I'll go into edit mode, and then I'll just basically shrink this, and I'll go down like that. And then even though it's basically a cone, it's just going to be a bit better to print than like a single vertex is. Even if I go right down to there, if I want it to be as sharp as possible, the printer's just going to understand it better, and it's going to be way easier to interact with it if these don't all overlap at the centre up there. So I'm just going to make it a bit wider for now, because I prefer to work with something like that. But I guess we're also thinking, you know, wizard's hats it will get on the smaller side eventually. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to start with what's the main base of the hat, what's the main shape of the hat, and then what's the like flopping at the top that I want. And so I'm going to start with a rim. We can go and select. Oh yeah, just select these ones. No, just select these ones. And then we can go to extrude region along normals. Look at that. We're starting to get a wizard's hat already, and it hasn't been very long. So I'm just going to also just do SZ and just scale a little bit of the edges there inwards so that it's wider and then less wide. I also got to think about how I'm going to print the hat, and I think I'm going to print the hat upside down. Or no, let's print the hat right way up. Let's print him right way up. So part of that's going to be making sure there's a good little hole in his head, because we want him to easily sit on top of the other head without too much issue. I'm going to not print him on top of the head, but I'm going to print 3 parts for this test, or 4 parts for this test, I guess, for the hat. Because I really want to confirm that I'm just dividing this model especially in the correct way. So yeah, again, I'm not going to get bogged down in too many details, because this is mostly about testing it out. But it does give me a chance to do an interesting little one, which is extrude to cursor. So look, I'm going to choose the best angle I want, which is probably just something like this to start with. And look at this. Look at that. Lovely. And scale it down. Look at that. And scale it down. And then I could just choose another spot that's just there or something and scale it down. Now you see, what I'm starting to worry about is too much overhang, so I'm just going to go like this, and I'm going to go like this. And look, it's kind of a wizard's hat. I'm going to do a few things now just to speed that along. You see how kind of modelling is getting me most of the way here. I could have gone into a sculpt straight away and sculpted this from a cone or a cube or whatever, but how much quicker am I working in this modelling? You know, I can do something like this, and then I can go like, yeah, this is where Blender modelling I think really excels. There's some stuff like this that you can do that's really cool. And in fact, let's make it, there's no sense in not having it be interesting, I guess. Actually, where I was, so even selecting in Blender is, you know, you just go Control Z. I guess one of the other things I should set up soon is keybinds for you. I've got them showing up down the bottom here, but they're not, I feel like on Twitch I should be able to get a better keybinds thing set up so that anyone using this in tutorial fashion will not have issues. Yeah, I'm just eyeballing all of this as well. I could be measuring these precisely and making it all the same, but it really doesn't, because I know I'm just using this for artistic purposes. I'm not getting too fussed or bogged down in some of those details and just focusing on what feels about right for me. And I think that's feeling pretty good. Now I'm going to use a bit of this proportional editing that I've got set on. Normally I'd really recommend you have this off. This is so annoying most of the time, because say if I want to edit these edge loops, or like these edge loops, not, yeah, there you go. I'm also doing a lot of Shift Alt right click there to select edge loops. That's really helpful. Yeah, say I just want to manipulate these should manipulate, that makes sense, right? Of course I'd manipulate them like that. But if I turn on proportional editing, then you'll notice Oh, my proportional editing must be very low then. Let's see. Proportional editing. Oh yeah, look at this. So let's go move that up a bit. There you go. This is a bit more what proportional editing does, and it's going to serve us a lot of purposes here for a more natural sort of look with still using only modelling. And I guess I won't even bother with sculpting with this one, just to show what can be done without even thinking about hitting the sculpting floor, because that can be quite intimidating. So to start with, yeah, look, even just this edge loop that I've got in, I'm just going to start with a quick rotation. Look how natural that kind of rotates a lot of the other stuff there. I'm getting something sticking through. Oh yeah, that's just Pan's head. So if that's annoying me, there we go. See, I'm just dealing with the head now. That's just the forward slash. But look, I'm just going to do a little bit of finessing some of these edge loops. And just with an RZ, so I'm not really trying to think too much about changing the structure of like what I've done there. I'm just thinking about adding a bit more depth to its form, and yeah, I guess kind of probably removing some of these indents too. So if I think about removing that for a second just to bring some more width in there, or you know what, I'm going to throw it through just a remeshing, so that it gets rebuilt anyway. So I'm not going to worry too much about those. I think they'll smooth out, and that's where I'm kind of at with this. Is like, hey, I just want to show you guys some more printing with my new setup, because that's half what this is about. But I'm also going to show you some cool modelling while we're here, because this is, you know, like I said, I know more about modelling than I do about more aspects of, or I guess I'm confident in a lot of aspects of Blender, but like I might as well show you the ones I'm more confident in first, and then we can take it from there. So look, I'm pretty happy with that. There's only a little bit of twisting in there, but I really want it to print fine. I don't want to think too much about that. Same logic, I'm going to just apply it to the rim here. I'm just going to kind of make sure it is all going to print upwards nicely, right? I don't want to think about things printing too flat and stuff, really. And I want to add that kind of depth to it that we were going for, so I'm just kind of, I guess I'm going to go for selecting these outer ones, GZ, and then selecting the inner ones, or any inner ones near there, GZ, and just downwards. And see, I'm kind of like slowly building up that rim. I think that's probably good. That's probably all I need. But I would go like this for a second, just get myself access to a bit of this, GZ. Because part of the problem here is I don't want this to get too thin, so I want it to be kind of somewhat in the middle there. And I think that's added that strength to it that I needed, and width to it, so that I can add a little boolean on the bottom and not be too worried, because that's really where I'm at, is I want to be able to get this to print without anything more than a raft. So anyway, I want to get a little bit medicated too, because this should just help me relax the evening. You can tell I'm go mode, very much like, so this will help my brain slow down a little bit too, which can be good for creative flow, or it can, you know, slow my creative flow, but the main thing is making sure I'm looking after myself, I guess, which this helps me look after myself better. It reminds me to feed myself, reminds me to sleep, gets me to slow down and think about how I'm feeling instead of just rushing into the next thing. So I highly recommend, don't condone, never mind, we won't go too much into that. I want to keep this open to a wide range of viewers too. So look, I said I wasn't going to go into sculpt mode, and I probably don't need to. Should we keep this, we'll keep this in the model only stage, so maybe we use some modifiers. I don't know if people are comfortable or familiar with modifiers. I'll just check in the, yeah, feel free to chat in the chat too, and I'll try and engage too, but for the moment I'll just assume you guys are listening and enjoying what I'm doing, what I'm putting on the table. If people aren't ever, if this stuff ever is content that you're not interested in, well, obviously you can always feel free to tune out. I'd assume that's the given, but I'd encourage you to maybe before tuning out just talk to me about what I guess I'd you know, be willing to change in my streams too, because I'm willing to kind of adjust and make modifications. Can make modifications. It hasn't been a problem before. You'll see I quote a lot of sitcoms and stuff too. Yeah, I don't know. I think thinking now that the boolean can flatten out that bottom, so that's why I'm adjusting it a little bit differently here. You see, I have really gotten that kind of looping that to make it just a bit more of a unique hat, I guess, than it was before. Even the 3D printing itself might make that look a bit different. I kind of want to model this whole fly ox at some point. Or fly cow. It's quite cool. But you see, I guess typically I'm supposed to kick off at 180 degrees here with the venti. And in theory I could basically go forever with that if I had the lung capacity to. It's pretty smooth at this temperature, and people that don't like that burning sort of sensation, that's like you can sip at this for as slow as you like without feeling the need that you're wasting any, because it like pretty much all just like hovers in there and in that space. You can see I tend to do it with the cap off and just making sure that I've got a mesh on it. But other people will smoke it differently. Some people find it. I'm on a subreddit for that, and I find that useful. Don't know if anyone was watching before, but I tried out just like browsing YouTube, I guess, myself, and also looking up some other blended tutorials and just sharing kind of what my learning workflow looks like. But this one, I guess, is more of a review, some sculpting. I did say I'd get into some DM planning, so let's do some of that too on the side. It's going to be a bit of everything today. There's a bit of my writing. Some of it's going to be set in a world that's similar to this and stuff. I actually need to start a fresh campaign, mostly. Let's go to docs. Oh, I already have a docs open. Why am I opening a new doc? I'm going to go new document. This is cool. Yeah, so that's where it's 0 AR. The sundered globe is kind of the title I'm starting with. It's based on an existing campaign I did a while back. I'll get into outlining a bit more of that soon. But basically, the campaign I was playing in originally and built this world in was set about 200 years after a great rift opened and 1,000 worlds opened into one, and kind of all came crashing into this one space. Various elements of the world have been brought, but basically our party and our characters are coming from pretty much anywhere in the multiverse, and they've been ripped from where they were. Some of them are bringing more of that reality with them, some of them are bringing less. I've got a warlock that's just wants to bring just him and his patron in, and we're exploring a little bit more about what that means for him and his patron's relationship and stuff, and how that looks, and how much power his patron would have. You know, there's a lot that we're kind of exploring there that's really interesting. He wants a kind of more rivalry with the patron too, so more like, you know, him and this kind of manipulative or whatever character here, and he wants to have kind of some sort of struggle there, or internal struggle there. But he's also playing a very support warlock, so that should be interesting to see at the table. Yeah, so hopefully you guys get to see some of our D&D, but again, that's going to depend on just how comfortable other people are on camera. And that's even one reason why I'm using this Twitch, is because we do want to do a bit more video-based content between us, even just for the sake of working better remotely. We're going to keep this simple though, and again, I want this print up and running, because that's going to make my whole setup here a bit more exciting. I also wonder how that affects the lighting sort of situation. That might help things in here a little bit. Give me a bit more fill light. I can also kind of move and manipulate the camera, but I shouldn't probably, because I've got drinks set down here. I don't want it falling into a cup of water. Solid 9 out of 10. That's that Low Bros Feel Good Kombucha, raspberry and lemon, organic and low sugar, and made in New Zealand, So I guess that's good advertising New Zealand products too. Even though I'm not here to like advertise, it's like I'm here to review, I guess. So good to review New Zealand products. So I guess this is one I haven't opened yet. Edifier P80 Plus headphones, which I'd like to get these going so that I can listen to some stuff with you guys or whatever. And certainly if I start exploring some video or animation based topics, or maybe even some D&D lore, then we're going to be enabled to do that. So yeah, what we've got, a few little instruction manuals and things, and I'm going to assume they're unnecessary, right? Like instructions and all this crap, I'm just going to assume that's complete rubbish and throw that away and go. There should be zero setup on these, right? Like some stuff, yeah, I know of course there's going to be setup involved. This should be zero setup. You should need nothing from me. Highly recommend this as a 3D printing person. I've just added this box of rubbish just below my 3D printer / desk area, and I'm throwing all sorts of crap into it straight away. So I'm going to do that with these receipts now too, because I just want to hold on to it for the price for you guys. So again, that was 55 New Zealand dollars for that webcam that I'm using currently right now. And see how is it working good? I reckon that so far in my experience has been at least a 4 out of 5, or so I guess like at least an 8 out of 10, and with the price value as well, I'm like verging 9 out of 10 or something. And if you guys think this is a good stream, that bumps it all the way up to 10. So that's I'd highly recommend this. Verbatim 66614 1080p full HD webcam, 1920 by 1080p, 30 frames per second. Yeah, and then so the other one is these Edifier wired earbuds, about $15 or whatever. Yeah, white with remote and mic. I figure these ones will be good for me just to DM with, and especially if I'm say DMing with people that don't want to work on Twitch, but I'm happy for me to maybe share what I do as DM, and you guys can maybe see at least my presentation side, and I'll try and keep it. I mean, I'll probably have enough stuff on my screen and be showing you enough stuff that you'd probably be able to carry on, like be involved in their campaign, even if certain characters aren't maybe wanting to present themselves on screen or something. I'm going to look into ways to make that work, because I already told them I was interested in like trying some quite new stuff with this D&D campaign, and I'm just going to explain that it's something that yeah, that like I'd highly recommend other people try at their tables, or I'm definitely going to be exploring new stuff, I think. So like a few of them also know kind of how crazy and how many business ideas they come up with or whatever, so they'll probably jump on board with that, as long as it doesn't result in more work for them or admin for them, basically, I imagine, because they've all got their own lives and things, and I guess as long as it's like a comfort level thing as well. So look, there's a little tag here on it that says don't try and recycle this or whatever. So that's another, like, I guess thing about the setup. I need to make sure I'll have enough space to not knock my print, so I will also be considering, yeah, I guess first off I'm just going to give myself a little bit more space there. The base plate can just sit on the game for now. Like, I did want to give this a proper clean, but I'd rather get started on a print today, and I'll give this a proper clean tomorrow, when I can actually be fucked with that. And especially because I'm liking the idea of this fly wizard hat, so we can kick that off because that's going to be a nice small and quick print. And it's purely been done just with modelling so far. And I guess I could have, like, if I'd wanted, kept the base flat. It's not quite perfectly flat, I think, so you know I could go and you can see it's not quite perfectly flat. I could definitely even that out, but I'm going to just do a boolean for that because that's just going to be so much easier, and this is typically why I include them so much in my workflow. So let's just go to modelling. Yeah, why not? Modelling's good. So modelling I've typically is set to black and white, I think, in the standards. But look, we're going to... Yeah, there's a bunch of other stuff here. I don't really want to worry about that because this is more about my export tests, and I don't care about removing it for this, but you can see I've got a very messy outliner there. But I'm just going to add another cube and also not name it. And so we've got 3 unnamed cubes, 4 unnamed cubes, a bunch of unnamed cylinders, that tells me that one of my first tasks when I go back to that Satir main, even Satir's spelt wrong, Satri main, is that file organisation is one of the main things I'm going to have to do there, which is probably good to know. Anyway, so just before we get too sidetracked, let's get the Fly Wizard hat going. And I think I'm just going to call it Fly Wizard hat as well, because that's what my wife called it when she saw me doodling a hat on top of the sky. Oh, she didn't talk about how my wife walked in on me doodling. Yeah, I'm going to put a bunch of dad jokes around too, so I wonder whether that's even worth something I should advertise on my stream. Bunch of dad jokes in a row. Getting stoned, doing 3D printing, and making shitty dad jokes. 24/7. Oh, yeah, maybe not 24/7. So anyway, so look at this, I'm going straight for the modifier section, boolean. Gonna go and just do a nice fast and quick fast solver. The difference there on the boolean, it's pretty much just so easy. That's why I just highly recommend default Blender. So many good things. Oh my goodness, who could complain about such a free software? I'm going to apply that modifier, and then look, edit preferences. I really want to highlight this for people, so apologies if I'm going over it too much. But these add-ons are so good, and just most add-on things, there's add-ons for them somewhere. But this 3D print, maybe not 3D print, but print. Yeah, there you go, 3D hyphen print. So good, and that pops up here. 3D print in your sidebar of your viewport there, and I don't really need to apply scale to this one, but I just kind of make it a good habit too, and I know from memory that I want to make that a lot bigger. And honestly, I want to start working with it a little more while it's this size, throw some booleans on it and show you just like how far we can take this without actually even well, you know what, let's call it a low poly one and start from there, because I'm trying to make as many assets as I can in the process of this thing, and just trying to optimize my workflow so that pretty much everything I do can be eventually profited from if people remotely care. That's kind of where I'm at. I'm like, I might as well start making this into content, and then if people engage with certain parts of the content, then I'll have a good starting platform for it. And I think I've already got like a good platform going a little bit already, but I just want to keep improving on that. And so any way I can improve that as well, that's where I'm at with like feedback in the chat and things. First time chat, yeah. Yeah. I mean, cool. Yeah, if that's a real user, then I guess I agree. It's hard to tell sometimes. There's a few people that, like, a few things that pop in that are like pretty convincing too. And I guess since it's like since your username's so long and stuff, and I mean, if you're real, then hello and welcome. I guess if you're not real, welcome. I guess I can't complain about bots. I do think that that's like quite interesting though, some of that stuff, yeah. The money will come in. Yeah, I'm really like yeah, okay, it's just really confusing. I don't know what was exactly meant by it, but yeah, I'm totally gonna try and engage with anything that comes up in that chat, even if it's a bot, and even if it's not a bot or confuses me. I want to just try and engage with you guys still, and so yeah, I guess yeah, like your name, long live chaos. I like a little bit of chaos, and definitely with D&D and things, some randomness in life is kind of interesting. And some other stuff, add bleach to the food and throw it in the forest and the sea with the plastic. The money will come to you. yeah, I'm kind of a little confused by the last bit of that. That's why I was like slightly confused. But if you want to add more context for that, that'd be cool. But you know, if you don't and you like feel like the words speak for themselves, then they probably do. But like maybe they just haven't spoken to me directly, like they could speak to somebody else. So look, you're doing a bit of. Let's just make sure I'm staying to my rough name. Reviewing some products from a new workstation setup, followed by medicating and DM prep. Yeah, that's pretty accurate. Cool. Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at. I'm gonna get into the DM prep soon because I want to make sure that I'm still engaging with that side as well. But for the moment, we're gonna set origin to 3D. Set origin to geometry. Set. I'm gonna snap cursor to world origin, and then I can go set origin to 3D cursor, and then I know that I've set the origin to the world origin there, which is exactly where I want it. And yeah, like I said, we're gonna poly. Okay, and I think actually we are going to want to remesh this in the long run and stuff for it to be a wearable hat in any sort of fashion, but I don't think the low poly one's going to be, nobody's going to bother printing and wearing the low poly one and that sort of volume, so all I'm really caring about is will it fit on top of a miniature. And so to just ensure that, I'm just going to you see I'm starting to run into problems there. I really don't want to push it too far, so I'm just going to go like this. And you see, as soon as I see it starting to interfere with anything up there, I'm just going to just to make sure that there's somewhere there for me to glue or position the head onto or whatever. Okay, so there's my low poly wizard's hat. That should be ready to go. So I'm just going to confirm that it's ready to go by throwing it through this 3D print, and I'm just going to go check all. Look, it's very happy. Especially you look at these no non-manifold edges, bad contiguous edges, 0. I mean anything below that doesn't matter. But you know you can see it's definitely pretty low poly. There is overhang faces, but they're not like big overhang faces. But you can use that to go, you know, is this all fine? Would I need to print it from its side upwards or something like that? I definitely could. I'm just going to print this flat. I'm making it easy, and I've gone. And just for the brief, how I know it's going to print fine, or I'm confirming, pretty confident it's going to print fine. I've basically been following this philosophy the whole time that it's going to print layer by layer, and this isn't too much of an overhang, I think. If maybe it was either like this way for a very long time, or maybe if it got to the point of being too flat for a medium amount of time, or if it ever was upside down like this, then you got to think, how's it going to start building these bits? You know, you can't really access this. If it's going like this, it's building up here, and then you try and you think about it, it's going to be printing in 0 space, so that's never going to work. So that's just really worth bearing in mind for printing anything in 3D space is angles, how you're going to print it, you know. I'm pretty happy with that, so I'm just getting back out of animating, annotating. And look, that's exported it to that ram's horn location, so that's cool, but like I actually would like to adjust that location to be more broad than that, because I don't want it to be lost in that satire files, I guess, because the satire files are going to be huge. I'm going to go to my 3D printing main folder and go D&D modulars, and I think it's a modular because it can be put on someone, so let's go modular hats. And low poly wizard's hat that's modular. Yeah, I don't know. You could put that on multiple miniatures if you want, or something like that, and balance it right. You shave the head off your minis and glue it on top, whatever you want, but it should be versatile with lots of different minis. And I've left it pretty open for whatever you want to do with it there. I haven't really offered up any free content this time, so let's bring up my occults and just start up with a wizards And now like I'm just going to go back to one of my old creations on cults. And just go to my profile. And look, at some point I'll just be populating this stuff to just all get shared around really quickly. Here's a fun little catapult. I was testing this out with my nephew, who's about 5, or who is 5, and like it printed super easily. There's a little video that like on my Discord that you can see with that. There's my Insta and all that. And basically, this, I know that this is this Discord link might need to be updated more and more, but for the moment I know it's good. But you know what, I actually think let's just focus on these. I'm not going to focus on the Discord right now. The Discord is more so that people feel more comfortable to chat somewhere than like they might in the Twitch. So actually I'll open that up too, because it's always just good to have it open in the background. But here we are, just copying and pasting that information over to here. Actually, let's just like over here as well go cow. Yeah, like I'm getting to the point where I'm like, this is probably easier to just do myself. Yeah, I think it's getting easier to do myself. I'm probably not going to do a full sculpt of it, but maybe a fly looking wizard. Maybe that's my next character that I play. Oh well, I won't go into that fly wizard thing too much. Let's just focus on that. File upload. Oh, and actually I did want to maybe go back to this, and then let's go back to modeling, and then let's just briefly go like this, and then go like this, and go. Let's do some annotating on it briefly, because half of it is I just want to share this little doodle thing I've been doing. Okay, so we don't want that. Cool. Actually, let's throw a matte cap on that, eh? Cool, and I'm just going to throw that through a quick remesh too, so I'm just going to shift D, and that's the low poly one, and then this is low poly remeshed by Z hat. And then we go to sculpt mode, which I said I wasn't going to do, but I feel like I didn't, at least in that part. And I could have done more with this, but I'm just like, it's getting to the point where I might as well be switching into sculpt mode. So let's just keep this really low voxel though, eh? We're still wanting this to be a low poly one. I think that's standard. That probably counts as low poly. I think that's pretty good. So again, out of sculpt mode, that was quick. And then we're going to export that there, and then I'm going to go back to my COTS. I'm going to add another file that is the remesh one, which you can see is about twice the size. So look, I know from experience that this low poly one's not going to necessarily print as well as this low poly one that I've remeshed. Highly recommend that remeshing, but look, I think you could probably print that, and certainly if you let it be fixed in a 3D printing software, you'd probably print that. You see how already this one just feels a bit more natural, even though there might be some bumps and stuff, even though it's low poly. I'd rather, yeah, like remesh it like that and then go into higher poly to do more detail, because I actually wanted to lose some of those details up there. But if you wanted to keep more details, then you definitely could do something a bit more like this and go into the remesh. And even halving that will make a huge difference. When you look at that. And you know what, even just since I did that, I like that better. I think that makes it look more like there's some creases in it and stuff. And yeah, I mean, I'd probably warp it a bit more to go into more medium poly, but this is what I'm going to print. I uploaded my low poly one, and I'll probably just leave it at that. I'm just going to put the category into game, I guess. RPG tabletop action figure wizard magic. Yeah, let's do this. Simple print, got all that. Let's just get my blend in there as well for you guys. That's that Pan Satya export, which actually is probably too good for. Let's throw that out there. At the very least, it can get attention towards me, and it's not at the point where it's actually polished. If people want to print it, then I'd like to see them print it actually. And I might even be printing it today, say, so let's upload that .blend file, and at least you can stay up to date with where I'm at. That file might be pretty big for a follow-along file, but the Wizard's Hat, I do want to, like, you know, I want to use some stuff to maybe advertise what I'm doing with pans, so that people get a bit excited for this pan sculpt when it drops, because I'm happy to put a lot of time into it, and I'm really happy with that time I'm putting in, but I'd love to see more people benefit from that result. I'll probably upload a mesh after this. I'm going to say no support. Well, that's a good way to see as well if that blend file actually goes. I don't really care about private use. Please share a like. Just share this shit around. Okay. Yeah, so my screenshot's not that great, but whatever. That should get people's attention. The cow butt. yeah, so that's out there. Let's just share that on the Twitch for anyone that is following along in that way. Cool, let's print that. So let's go flash print. Let's just get my printer heating up, which I don't even have to move for, which is cool. Let's load that file. And remember where I put that file, which should be, I guess generic assets would probably have worked for this too, but for the moment I'm going into the modular sort of side because I guess modular is cooler for that. Generic assets, sandbox gaming, D&D modulars, there we go, modular hats. Yeah, and see I've got that option there. I'm going to start with this low mesh one and just see, because this is the one I've actually put online. Yeah, what do we say? I'm just not going to even scale it, let's just print it at scale and see what happens with that. I don't even know what it's for yet, but if it's for that ox when I print that or something, or if it's even for the test one, then we do one to larger size, or this can help me figure out the scaling for pan as well. See, look, I've automatically got a raft because I find that useful in a lot of them. Let's just slice that. You can see, yeah, that blue's connecting at the bottom. That's one of the main things that I wanted to check. It does automatically connect there. Look at that. Really easy. 18-minute print. Yeah, I could choose pausing layers if I wanted. So maybe let's do that. Let's do a little, some little layers. No, let's test this first, and then maybe the med poly one I'll do some cool layering too. How about that? And we can maybe pull out a few of my more unique colours to kind of show off that sort of printing side. But that can be after, I guess, approximately 18 minutes of DM planning. Let's just put that save location. It's going to go into this USB here. The next thing I'm going to set up probably is just removing the need for the USB transfer here, because I'm sure I can just directly plug that into the 3D printer there. I just haven't done that yet. So here we go. So that's old now, and cool. Oh, that didn't take long. Just having that there. I didn't actually preheat it, so let's start that preheating now. I'm going to have to level it again too now that I've moved it. I might as well use this time for a little bit of scraping this off. I'm probably going to use some high grade, just ethanol or something, just to really get that off in a bit. But for these sort of prints, I just really want to start printing today. So I'm just going to scrape off some of it while I wait, and then it'll probably be kind of messy, but I'll still. So I'm just using a really soft knife on that to get rid of some of the glue. Again, I think this glue was useful, but I think that I've found things that'll be more useful, or I'd rather start fresh with the glue at least if I do fall back on that in any way. I know what other people really generally use for their sort of 3D printing. Cool, just glancing at my socials again. I'm gonna try and get some of this onto TikTok later, I guess, as well. I want to figure out a way for this, like a lot of the stuff to auto get clipped up and auto go to TikTok without me having to touch it. Because I don't really like spending a lot of time on social media, but I'm recognizing the need for it, or the use of it in my work especially. And like, I guess the utility in it for like, I like having social interactions with people remotely and meeting new people and all this stuff. And I think there's so much that you can do really well with social media with that. But I think that there's some traps you can fall into with it, and I'm just going to be careful, especially with the way I approach this Twitch streaming and that sort of thing. Because yeah, like, you know, I want to make sure that me and my wife still have a professional and like happy relationship with whatever streaming I do, and keeping it fun is the only way to keep me doing it. You know, I gotta enjoy this, otherwise I'll disappear off the face of the earth or whatever and find a different hobby. But I'm liking at the moment that I can combine many of my hobbies into this Twitch kind of new interest that I've developed, and so I hope you guys engage with a few of my hobbies too. And maybe learn something. Maybe you can even interact with my hobbies. I'm looking, you know, some stuff I'm just looking for, like crowdsourcing some information too. And I thought maybe getting some sort of sounding board in the Twitch community could be just useful for me creatively too. So I'm not necessarily looking just to make money out of this, because you know, of course, everyone would love to make money from what they do for fun. But even what I'm doing for fun, I'd like to just share what I'm doing for fun with people, so that maybe they can benefit from it too. I'm actually getting kind of close here, so I'd like to just finish off a little bit more of the scraping, but the heating up of the printer's done. This webcam I think is working out pretty well, but please just like let me know if you guys think that could do with an upgrade soon or whatever, if it's like dramatically different. I decided not to go for the one that was 6 times the price or whatever, because obviously we can't afford it right now, but I'd love to eventually, so that might be something that I'd consider putting like Kickstarter money towards or whatever if I do go through with that Kickstarter campaign idea that I had. I mostly wanted that to be something focused on just my PLA though. Like the more printing filament I have, the more I'm just going to print stuff for the community really. So if people are interested in that or interested in donations, I got a Patreon that I guess I'm halfway set up or whatever, but I also have a I think the Patreon is set up. Maybe that's one thing I should be sharing around, but because I don't have any paid models anyway on yeah, I don't know whether people can actually use that at all, but like I should just remind myself I need to do some of that too. I'm not sure if you like that Patreon's even public, but I'm gonna have a Patreon, and yeah, like might offer even more free stuff to those people or something like that. We'll see. Look, I'm getting pretty close with this. I just want to get a little bit more of the centre cleared just for this print, because I know it's not going to be printing on the sides. I'm just clearing the middle, and then I can clear it all a bit more soon. But I just want to kind of get something printed at least, because I do highlight that as one of my like keen hobby interests, and one of the main reasons I want to share this is because I'm doing so much 3D printing related stuff, and that's one of the best ones to crowdsource information from, because there's some stuff that I can print, and then there's some stuff that I need access to better quality printers to even know if it works. Obviously I can play test in smaller sizes and that sort of thing, but even that stuff that I have tested in smaller sizes, there's some versions that would just be better if people actually printed in bigger scales. So I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing some makes of my creations and things out there. Doesn't seem like a lot of people post makes, but that's something I'm going to just encourage to do myself if I print some other people's products, which I have been a little bit, to learn my own craft. I'm going to definitely be throwing in just likes and downloads and follows for them, partly for my own purposes too, and go like, hey, well they made something cool enough for me to have an interest in, so I'd love to keep having an interest, like keep seeing more of what they're doing. But there we go, like I've ended up with a bit of glue stuck to my hands, but overall I've got a much more clear surface to start this fly wizard hat on. And so let's go to build, and today, and that fly wizard hat. Build. So now that I'm building, I guess I should just go on and throw this on for you guys so that you don't miss out on too much of that. I'm also just going to briefly, you'll have to excuse me if this starts looping, I'm just going to look and see that setup and go, that's pretty good. In fact, I might just bring this out just a little bit, just get a bit more of an angle to it. Nope, you guys are falling over, we don't want that. You don't want falling, what about a little bit of a twist to it there? Now, is that enough to see me too? I feel like that is, and I feel like at least you'll see enough of me for it to be relevant. And the main thing I want is a bit of seeing the desk. So maybe just a little bit back is fine. The idea is that, oh, that's getting hot there. Cool, the idea is that kind of, you can see a little bit of what I'm doing everywhere here. I need so much headroom. And in fact I need my framing to look actually good as well. So let's go for a little bit more of kind of twist to it down there. And maybe you guys don't need to see the screen, but yeah, I guess you want to see the 3D print side. I don't know how much detail you're actually going to see of that though, I guess, so maybe it's that when I set up my webcam I set it up propped up on here. So we'll just test out a little bit of what that might look like now. Let's just hold that angle for a little bit and just see, because it's printing in that spot now. And don't lie. So that spot is like the center, so we don't really want to be looking at that angle, do we? Any angles through here? I don't think we get any angles through here, so I really need something that will get me these sort of angles without disrupting what's going on there. So I need something that'll hold it up like there for us, eh? Something like that. So maybe I'll work on something like that that can get us those angles that we want. Especially early prints will be like that, so I guess it'll keep dropping further down. Something like that even. Print my new webcam into position. Okay, I'm going to stop mucking around with that, but just to give you an idea, I do want to set that up so you guys can engage with that more easily. There you go, that ain't a bad setup though, not too much headroom. We're doing that loop, but we're going to stop that looping now. Cool. So we've got a Fly Wizard hat building, and I feel like I've done a lot of talking, a lot of smoking, and not a lot of DM planning. So that's what we wanted to do in this time in between too, is kind of do a bit of DM planning. So I'm going to first go to, we can kick off a little bit of this. We don't really, I said I was going to do a bit of DMing stuff, so let's focus on that for the next little bit and go. So this is building off another campaign that I've got, so I know that DM brief, here we go. Cool, I'm going to actually have to write some of this from scratch. But this is my notes for the other campaign. So this is what I'll return to as well. They've got a character that's, yeah, like, yeah, anyway. I don't need to go into too much detail of that campaign because that's just going to get us sidetracked. Let's focus on writing a little bit of a player intro. Because I've kind of given my players a bit of a session 0 and stuff, but we this will probably help catch everyone up anyway. Yeah, so I'll probably just let you guys see what I'm typing for a little bit, because that's probably going to be basically my train of thought anyway. There's a little bit of like background spinning around gears and things, but might as well be, you know, that's kind of been loading anyway. And this is kind of just me working on my project too, so I just I want to be not too distracted by the fact that I'm streaming sometimes, I guess is one thing to be conscious of. I want to be focused on a bit more of what I'm actually doing. And I'll describe it to you guys for the people that enjoy that. Some people can just mute me and just tune into what I'm doing, and I'm sure you'll be able to understand where I'm going. Or if you don't, then maybe it's interesting for you. So yeah, I guess let's start with some broader descriptions. yeah, so that's kind of how I'm going to start laying it out. So I'll give you guys a bit to read what I've written there. Some of that might not make much sense, but that kind of gives a brief sort of intro for it. I was trying to keep it short because you can see there's some multiversal weird crap going on. But that's the start of my planning there. How's our little situation here going? Let's maybe check on, I guess this fly wizard hat's not going to be a very tall one. I do wonder about ways I can set this up that it can be better viewed for you guys, but I guess one of them is probably that the webcam's slightly too high. I need to lower the webcam. That's the stuff that I'm going to explore. And I guess let's talk about our next print then, just briefly. So I've gone to some of this, changed up the gear, and I will come back to this. But look, I'll just post that little thing in the Twitch in parts, I guess. Yeah, just in case you guys were reading that. Don't want to get in the way of that, but I'm going to switch it up to fly hat on its way. Okay, and we're just going to change it up and have a look at what I wanted to print. Right, yeah, what I want to print was this camera stand, or whatever, like phones. Big phone holder. Not really what I'm after. That's a bit more what I'm after, and that'll kind of help me a little bit with Twitch too. And again, that's not going to be really tall enough, so let's think. I know I could definitely adjust that one, or add an extension to that one maybe. This is it, I think. Remember correctly? Is it? No. Yeah, it's nice and simple though. I like that. And so I will like it. And I will follow. Oh, and definitely if I can give him money at some point, I might well give him money at some point, because we'll see how prints say. I just like some of these mechanisms, I just don't even want to think about it. I just want to download and print. Okay, so I'm running into walls a little bit with Venti because of the charge getting low. And I guess the weed inside it getting low. Alright, I still got a bit more there. I'm just going to use that now. And then I might go get maybe a beverage from the other room. Pick up some more sleeping medicine tonight. Speaking of medicine, we should go have some medicine. Okay, so that's probably what I'll do. I'm going to have some medicine and some medicine and some medicines, because that's half my life, but let's kick off this bait and I'll go get my medicine. I'll be back. Let's put something more interesting on the screen though up. Let's go for... let's throw in some D&D verse stuff. Cool, give me 2 seconds. I'm just going to mute myself for a while and I'm going to keep...
Welcome, fellow adventurers, to the D&D universe, where we help players, dungeon masters, and even those who have never played the game have a better understanding of the world and lore of Dungeons & Dragons. The planes are a series of locations that you as a player might travel to. They exist as massive continents completely detached from the rest of the world, with bizarre rules and physics governing each one. They are completely unique to one another, and in this video I'll be covering the basics of every pre-existing plane in the D&D universe. The way the planes connect can best be described as a giant wheel, with the material plane resting in the very center. As you travel further from the center, you'll find planes that represent the core aspects of the physical world, and further still are the planes that represent ideas. There are other ways that a DM might connect the planes, such as a giant tree or two oceans divided by central planes. Some DMs even handcraft their own cosmologies, but for this explanation, we will use the Great Wheel. At the very base of everything lies the material plane. This is where nearly every mortal being lives and where most adventures will take place. The material plane is our plane, where many adventures take place in the world of Dungeons & Dragons, where grass and trees grow and oceans span for leagues. All of the elements combine here to create the world as we know it. You can best understand the material plane by looking outside a nearby window or Googling landscapes. Echoing the material planes are the Shadowfell and the Feywild, two planes that simultaneously exist alongside the material. They are like layers on top of the material plane, only leaking through tears and portals. The Feywild overlaps the material plane. Inside its boundaries are large forests where playful creatures wander, and flowery fields of mystery hold undiscovered splendor. Here we find ogres, hags, fairies, satyrs, and all the magical forest creatures from fairy tales running around in open fields and lurking in heavily forested swamps. The Shadowfell is the opposite, being void of all color and littered with death. Undead creatures and melancholy spirits wander through the black, dry soil covering the Shadowfell. In the sky is an everlasting state of gloom with storm clouds and lightning flashes. These two planes are built very similarly to whatever material plane your party adventures in, where a normal forest with a lake would be a massive sylvan forest with a golden city built on a glimmering lake, or a lifeless concoction of dead trees with a big pile of slime sitting in the place of the lake. Next up, there are the inner planes, divided into the four basic elements that make up the world. Earth, fire, water, and air are all personified by these planes, with their mixtures acting like borders between the realms. Where these planes touch each other and the material plane, you will find the majority of its inhabitants. Starting with the plane of Earth, you will find a world made entirely of stones and gems. At the height of this plane are mountains that climb further than anyone would dare to venture, or could. Near the material plane, you will find caverns that run through every mountain, inhabited mostly by stone genii called the Tao. They will likely have a central hub called the City of Jewels, a settlement made entirely of priceless metals and gems. I highly recommend not stealing anything from here. The plane of fire is a raging, deadly wasteland of burning. The majority of the plane is covered by the cinder wastes and the sea of fire, both dotting with flaming creatures such as Azer and salamanders. The main reason you might be going to the plane of fire is for its renowned capital, the City of Brass. A massive city filled with riches and hundreds of thousands of inhabitants. Its visitors include everything from demons to dragons. The city is widely ruled by the Afridi, though many fire-based creatures also inhabit this wondrous city. The plane of air is a howling empty space, housing hostile winds and great winged creatures strong enough to ride them. More fitting a party who's used to having somewhere to stand are the stone islands that drift through the sky. And in some cases, clouds packed tightly by Jinn to call home. And last of the inner planes, the elemental plane of water, an endlessly spanning sea of worlds. On the surface are only a few islands that house surface dwellers who are constantly at war for territory. Creatures that lurk in the depths range from civilized merfolk to nightmarish aboleths. At the base of the ocean lies the city of 10,000 Pearls, whose capital is a palace of coral inhabited by aquatic genii called Marids. In between each of the elemental planes are combined forces, which are referred to as the planes of ash, ice, magma, and ooze. Overlapping every plane is the ethereal plane, a misty and faint location full of onlookers to the worlds below. Those in the ethereal plane can observe the world around them, but not interact with it. You might use this plane to escape a threat or pass through walls in forbidden territories. However, beware. Many horrid beings exist in this plane. Ghosts and spirits haunt its dark void and can be just as deadly here as a cursed graveyard. Just beyond the outskirts of the elemental planes are the outer planes. Each one embodies an alignment and is likely governed by the deities of those alignments. Creatures who serve these gods or devote themselves to one alignment might find themselves in one of these planes after death. Because of how numerous these are, I'll describe each one briefly. First off, there is Mount Celestia, a single glorious mountain that embodies justice and grace. Bitopia is a plane divided into two paradises, tamed fields of crop and unkept wilderness that both represent understanding for freedom and law. Elysium, aptly titled the perfect place, is a realm of pure good and happiness. People don't just pass through Elysium, it's nice there. The Beastlands are what rangers dream of on a good night. This is pure wilderness of every environment with no rules past nature. Arborea is a land governed entirely by pure emotion. Rage and joy are both ever present in Arborean inhabitants. Isgard is the heaven of heroes and war, and is never calm. People rise and fall on the eternal battlefield of Isgard. Limbo is the most dangerous plane for travelers of any alignment, and is the essence of chaos. Every element is interchanged at random, and only strong minds can last more than a minute without being obliterated. Pandemonium is a plane of madness, existing as screaming winds tearing through tunnels to torture the poor souls sent there.
Been muted, of course.
The
Yeah,
Abyss
that's
houses
classic.
every
I came here to
nightmare
unmute myself anyway.
and consists
Please
of endless
listen to
layers
the
of
video
unique
if you're
horrors.
interested in that.
Some say the demon kings of the Abyss occasionally venture to the Underdark to rampage. Carcerai is a plane that is nothing but a perfect prison. It has 6 layers that are uniquely cruel to its inhabitants. Hades has 3 layers of joylessness, hopelessness, and apathy. People sent here become larvae with sorrowful faces of their former selves slugging around in the mud. Gehenna is a plane of avarice, housing creatures who are merciless and selfish. If you pass through here and make it out alive, check your pockets. The 9 hells of Bator are each uniquely horrible and house devils and fiends of unimaginable power and cruelty.
Yeah, we held a
Each layer
campaign.
is just as
and,
unique as the
I
planes I've
did
noted
Descent
so
to
far.
Avernus, so if
And I
anyone's got any
highly
questions about
recommend
Descent to
that
Avernus, I
take the
guess
time to
I've
read about
that's a
them.
campaign I've run as a
Acheron is a
DM.
very difficult place to picture.
You
but
see I also
imagine
ran
it
into
as
problems
4
here,
iron D6 floating through
which
space,
I need to resolve,
slamming into each other
but
at
I'm kind of
random.
confused a
These
little bit
cubes
by. I
represent
wonder if it's a
pain
thickness
and war.
issue and just the sheer size of
Mechanus
that
is a plane of
when I was printing
perfected
and how small I was printing it.
housing a creature
But let's add
called
some
Primus and
maybe
all of his
modifiers that
mechanical
might
children.
improve on that,
Arcadia
or
is a realm of
whether
purity,
it's actually an
housing
issue for my
celestial
printer.
dwarves who live in
So I'm
harmony
going to
with
test
the
that
4
out first.
demigods who rule
See if
the
it's a
plains.
printer issue or whether it's a software issue.
Connecting
so I'm
every
going to troubleshoot
plane
this,
is a
but
location called the astral
feel free
plane,
to keep
a
watching the video
spatial
in the
void
meantime.
filled with floating chunks of dead gods and ancient evils. Randomly placed in this space are discs that act as portals to each plane, defined by the color they hold. Not often included in the list of planes are the following, locations that you might never travel to, but are still worthy of noting. The far
I find
realm
often
exists
unloading and loading the
outside of
filament
Everest.
is just the best way to confirm
No
that.
one knows how to reach
I don't
it
think
or
it should
what
have been a
nightmares it
leveling
might
issue,
hold.
but maybe it could have
What
been.
we do know is that
Could have been a leveling issue. I had not leveled it.
such as mind flares
That wasn't.
and behaviors
I jumped in
originate
without
from
leveling.
it.
But look, I've got a bit of scrap. But that's scrap that's kind of solid. I don't really...
a vast field that has towns based at its edges.
Yeah, it's not heaps, so I'm just going to throw it in there. I've ended up with big chunks that I'm not happy with, and collecting all of those. And I plan on doing a really thorough job of recycling those, or even using them in my own recycling or whatever. If I can get that sort of thing set up eventually, I'd love, that would be like real long-term sort of goals. Would be if this hobby eventually pays for itself, would be upgrading with this hobby too. So I'd like it to fix a little bit maybe.
Each plane is uniquely strange, deadly, and beautiful, but together they make up the world that we adventure in. Be wary, adventurers.
Just had some idea of the sort of
but it's up to you.
Backdrop for D&D for anyone that's not super familiar with D&D. Yeah, totally. I'm just going to subscribe to RuneSmith because that looked like a good summary video, and even what I saw was good, and I'm definitely cheering on my Twitch, so just like that as well. I just like Matt Mercer a lot. So maybe some Geek and Sundry stuff's a good one to have on standby for if I need to step away. Okay, I'm going to start. Look, I've been having some problems with my PLA not pulling through easily, so I'm just going to try playing it there. Is it pulling? It's rolling. It is rolling. Cool. So that's not the problem. You know what, while I'm here I'm going to change out the filament too, because I do quite like this wooden filament. And look, I'm running into a problem with my workspace too, so this is why I'm like, I figured this was a good time to stream, was that I could talk you guys through some of this workplace space setup stuff that I'm going to have to do too. So you can see even like the spool handle, I guess, is 3D printed. One thing I wanted to confirm as well, that can happen with like this little bit of cabling skills come in, I guess, is making sure well ahead that this isn't looping under anything else, that for the foreseeable future it is the one on top. Yeah, okay, I'm cool with that. And now I really do want to lock that up, because the thing with cables is they will tangle themselves in the weirdest fucking way possible, and you'll be so confused how they possibly have done that. So I'd highly recommend tightening these, and I've got the extra there, so I'm just going to tighten that up extra tight, throw away a bit of that, put this down with my other PLA. I guess the cool thing with the webcam as well, so I'll be able to, and being in the same room, I can point at stuff and as I decide. I think we want some fly wizard colours. Let's find some fly wizard colours. And I think it needs to be opaque. I don't want it to be seeing any characters' heads or insides. So let's think fly wizard colours, and I think some sort of light blue, pink, sort of like that sort of strobing. You know what? I'm just going to grab out this whole pack. Looks like a rounded enough pack for it. I'll just bring this up here. Because like if I... yeah, I'm going to look at mostly just trying to reprint that exact same file to confirm whether it's software or hardware, and I'm just going to do the basic stuff I need to for that. So it looks like actually it's going to be easier for me to first confirm that file's goodness, and a good way for me to do that is to use up some of this old black PLA, which does not look tangled great, or which I could have just tangled there, but unfortunately have not. And I'm going to get it facing the right direction. You see it gets very, feels like it's like a slinky that wants to tangle itself around everything. Just going to keep that direction right, so it pulls up from underneath there, and it rotates like that. So it pulls up from underneath and rotates like that. And then put it into place on the back of my printer there. And feed it up through this little threading hole, but try and keep the tension in there so I don't get getting entangling, because this is, like I said, it's pretty close to being tangled. I want to be really careful feeding this through too, that I don't make more knots in it than it needs. So I'm even taking that off at the moment and just
feeding that through until I'm happy with it and happy that these aren't going to get tangled themselves. So like that's fed through. I just need to put this back into its place. This, you can see this is 3D printed as well. There we go, that's back in place. This is where this tubing is really important. If I try to just do that, you can see how easily it would just get tangled and not go in the right direction. So getting feeding in the right direction through this tube, really important. So I'm going to just start with not worrying about whether it's twisted, and just start feeding it into the tube, because the tube should help resolve a lot of this, as long as I don't let the twisting go further back there. So I'm just going to hold one end there and feed it in with the other hand. Like this, and just try and get the whole thing fed in basically the least twisted way possible, I guess. Which doesn't seem super possible right now. If something snaps, then just making sure it's not like it falls through or something instead. There we go, this is starting to come together now though. You need to sometimes rotate this thing around and kind of figure out the way to feed it back in and through. But that untwisting is definitely starting to happen. I can feel that a little bit. The main thing is I really don't want that untwisting to go anywhere, and certainly don't want it to go back up this line. You can see it's kind of trying to push itself back out. I really just need to get that tip through. Once the tip's through, it's way easier to sort this. There you go. We got the tip. There we go. And now if we just make sure that it's not going back through, we can really start to figure out whether it's going to feed fine, what it's going to do, how it's going to move there. And let's start loading it again. Fortunately, I should have probably done the preheating, because we're having to look at a load again. I'm going to have to stand a bit awkwardly while I do that. But I am considering colours, so if you guys have thoughts on what a Fly Wizard hat should look like, I am thinking some bright pink, maybe. Maybe a bit, or maybe I'm thinking actually, let's think a little bit deeper. Let's go like blue and purple. And yeah, maybe like a more like quite a different colour in there, maybe like a green. I'm sure there's just rainbow PLA that people get or whatever, which will probably do that layer printing on this. I don't think this let's see if this twisting ends up becoming that much of an issue. I've got it fed through, which seems to be the main issue, is just trying to feed it through when it is. And that feels like it's going to pull and it's going to unravel. And that's the main thing to check as well, is like, do you think the cooling's going to be ready? We're getting there though, and it looks like I've got a black one to just test this out once more. And then I've got a few of these. You can see my D&D shirt too. Okay, let's feed that filament in. You can feel it's pulling it, so just letting it pull once you got it in place. Trying to put it into position and just hope that it's going to start pulling in the right way when it needs to. This is where I like to do a little bit of tightening sometimes, just to check whether that's going to work. And look, it's pouring out this side, so that's a good start. And let's say done. Now look, I think the problem was probably a leveling issue, but I did kind of want to switch out my PLA anyway, so I might as well have cleared that. So look, we're going to level it. You guys can check out my other Sundered Globe one if you like. My brother's in both of these campaigns, so he's going to transition between them. But all of the players played in a very old version of this world, so that's going to be kind of interesting too. All of these players were here I guess it's like a relatively natural world they've arrived to, and all of the players have played a character that existed in the world 1,000 years beforehand. So that was my original campaign in this world. But I've run a lot of campaigns all across the same singular planet or whatever. But they're all of my worlds. I try and make multiversal connections and stuff, and that's where I'm at with the like kind of opening of this rift and things, and really encouraging characters to be very interesting. So Pan the satyr that I'm sculpting, which I guess you guys have seen, it will be one of the characters in that. He's going to be played as a wild magic sorcerer, one that's lost his power to some extent. Because obviously he was once a god, or once a Fey-like god or whatever, so he can't be that powerful at the start of the campaign, but we're going to try and do that. But yeah, I'm going to focus on leveling a little bit. Sorry, I'll figure out how to stop that annoying noise too. There's a few considerations now that I'm sharing this with you guys. Starting to look happier. So here you go, a quick roll while we level too, right? So, doing that over here probably makes sense. Grabbing papers, where'd those filters go? I was totally reviewing as we go. Oh yeah, underneath my filament. Now I'm putting filament back in its box. I'm trying to keep my management a little bit better now that I've got my new workstation. You can see I've already got a little bit of weed out, but I'm trying to keep it tidy this time around. Because my lounge setup got pretty messy. And then I also was like, well, it's not really fair to have just the lounge constantly streaming, but I can have kind of this corner of the space streaming pretty consistently, I think, without too many issues. Certainly, like once I've like unmuted it or whatever, like muted it and set it out. You guys can even just have a look at my notes from the last campaign. Yeah, there you go. So you guys can follow along with that if you want. Yeah, a few ways I just throw quick stuff to track initiative in there sometimes. Yeah, these guys, they avoided those gargoyles, they did good, I remember that. They slaughtered these goblins. Yeah, deceased, yeah, I remember them very brutally slaughtering these goblins. Then they rested exactly where all the goblins were. And all their dead bodies and things, so in the cave that they were in there was a roper, and so, it was getting hungry. So that was a pretty brutal encounter that they made. Here's some, I guess, homebrew items, like that sort of stuff. I'll hover on those for a sec. If you're curious about them, you can always ask me, and I might remember them. But if I do remember them, then sweet. There you go, I'm rolling a I'm leveling, so let's keep the leveling going. If I hit a wall with planning too, which I may well because I'm getting kind of knackered, I will probably explore Baldur's Gate, I guess, or yeah, no, we can just talk shit or whatever too, I guess. That's kind of the beauty of this. So let's just keep so how's our reviewing going? We covered kind of basically everything with that. I haven't really talked about filament. Yeah, so I guess my one thing is I don't know how to turn off the beeping on this finder. It's not super intuitive how to turn that beeping off. These earplugs I'll test out in a second as well. But that'll probably be more when I switch gear to some gaming, so I can kind of hear what's going on in the game without worrying about feedback issues here and stuff. I normally don't like to have headphones in, but I thought that to include you guys in some of this, it's going to help. And obviously there's some work like video editing or audio mixing that you just, of course, headphones are kind of essential for, I guess, depending on your work environment, but I don't have the fortune of soundproofing in my work environment. If I set up an overnight print tonight, I might set up my first overnight stream and see how you guys like that too, and see who engages with that. Because these are obviously much more active ones where I'm talking to you guys. But yeah, I think that's still accurate for the tag, so I just want to kind of confirm I'm still doing what roughly I'm telling people I'm doing, you know. Yeah, so I guess let's keep leveling. Cool, that's another successful leveling point. There's one more leveling point to go. Let's finish off this roll so that my wife can have a bit of medication as well. That's my one complaint about getting this stuff not from the medical place. This street weed or whatever is, even though it's completely legal to do in New Zealand, like I can or at least for my part is to acquire this. Like I think it's not less so for the guy that would sell it to me or whatever. I think it gets messier, or at least the person that he gets it off or something. It does get messier. But the main reason it's legal for me is because I'm a medical patient. So it counts as just like me having to turn to illegal methods to find my medication that I totally need. Which is, it is true I need it, but I think that's where you'll see me awake the most, is if we run out of stuff like this. It'll be, it might be sad for me a little bit, but it might benefit you guys, because you might get some weird sort of 4 a.m. kind of streamings and shit on Twitch. So I guess it's weird that I kind of I'm trying to view it more positively now. I've always had quite a negative relationship with sleep, I guess, where I'm always I need to sleep for this next thing, otherwise it's going to be really problematic. And now I'm kind of trying to switch my lifestyle over. Here's a little bit more of what I'm doing with the rolling. I'm kind of tucking it in there, and I'm just going to look across there now. And I'm just going to keep tucking that in. Just really focus on getting each end tucked in. The top end and the bottom end, and then I can even it all out in between pretty easily. You can keep kind of shuffling it like this and packing it, or re-licking it. But the main thing is you get this end's pretty solid. And twist this off. We'd often cut off the top of it as well, or jokingly say circumcise it or whatever. I don't have scissors here, so I'm just going to go check that to my wife. I don't know if you guys can see this very well, it's probably a bad way to do it, but my wife was sharing this, or sharing this with me, and I thought it was really funny to share with you guys too. So.
Hey, thanks, sweetie. I was laughing at that too, so I thought I'd just, throw that. Hey, give me a yell if you need anything else. You're not dying from laughter. Yeah, so she's a really cool person, and I think that why would you be married to someone if you didn't think that they were cool, that's kind of where I'm at with that. We've got a really strong, healthy relationship, so I'm quite proud of her, I guess, or like gush about her a lot. So you can expect some of that on my streams, but I'll try to keep it to a minimum, because I could also, as much as I can talk about all this D&D and everything like that, I could also talk about just how awesome she is. So, but I don't really want to make this sort of thing so much about my personal life as much as my hobbies and interests and professional pursuits. That's kind of what I'm looking for with this. Look, we're happy with our leveling. Leveled, all leveled up, level up, level up, level up. And we're talking about starting with the black base anyway for this hat, I think. And let's just check whether that's the problem, whether we're dealing with just a leveling issue or whether we're dealing with a build or software issue. And again, I probably should have been doing preheating on this. Let's just try that. I was thinking that 18 minutes was maybe a bit short for this print, but I could be wrong on that, and it could be that it was trying to, just the adhesion was causing problems. But now I know that this was definitely coming out fine, that this is going to be extruding okay. And I guess this is a great time for me to look and see whether it's going to be better on the Twitch stream in the long term to have that. It looks like you guys will get at least the final stages of the prints, which is probably the part which I won't be around for anyway. So that's probably pretty good. Let's see about the wideness of that shot. And I guess the view pretty good for you guys, so let's just maybe give you a little bit more focus towards what I'm doing as well. That didn't really work. Let's try that maybe. Okay, and I'm not here. And that won't work. I'm going to hit my knees up against there. So I can't go to that extreme, but I can definitely widen it just a little bit. And now like that's probably going to be pretty perfect. So I don't mind being able to semi be off screen as well, but that's I'm going to have to lean off screen there. But it does mean that I can just take an easy moment to kind of step aside like that too. Cool. That seems like a good sort of Twitch setup, I think. And I can obviously just adjust this fairly easily too, and just give myself a bit more room, because I know I don't need to worry about my space so much tonight, and I know I'm going to be talking to you guys more with this. But other stuff I also might be less. Anyway, doing that looping, I don't want that looping. Makes me dizzy. Let's go do some Twitch stuff or whatever, right? Or not Twitch, sorry. Let's do some tip. Nope, that's the wrong one.
Voice actor and the Dungeon Master is a critical role here on Dungeon Sundry, and today's episode of GM Tips involves seeing what's behind the GM screen and some tips for folks on how to prepare